Okay, so I suggest that we can now proceed and start
Okay.
our session. And I'd like to, I'd like to start by introducing the topic is on perspective on social isolation. So the perspective on the social isolation, and my name is Leah Erasto Mollel. I'll be moderating this. We have a guest with us, that's BobKevin Shoo, and the rest of the participants. I'd like you can at least say your name for the rest, Levis. Okay, we have Levis and Megan with us. Okay, by starting, um, well, we can start on, because we're dealing on the perspective on social isolation. So we got to know like what is social isolation. So generally, social isolation, we can define it majorly in two terms, like currently the situation that we're in. It can be social isolation that there's a sort of social distancing, like we don't engage as much as before, like we don't do huge meet-ups, like physical meetings and things of the sort, and social isolation in the part that in between countries, different countries, we aren't that close, like we don't, the world is not fully open to engage with others, like on physical, in different businesses, tourism, and things of the sort. I'd like for Megan to allow me to be able to share a screen of a certain document if that will be possible. Megan, you can work on that. All right.
Yes, 1 second.
All right. So, Bob, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Like, who are you and what do you do for a start?
Thanks, Leah. Thanks for moderating the session. Thank you for creating a platform where we're able to openly discuss, especially during this time. For starters, my name is BobKevin Shoo, or just Bob for short. I hope everyone can hear me. I am a remote reporting analyst for an American company called Coalition Technologies in California. I've been working remotely for just over 2 years now. This the impact of COVID on businesses has just made me realize, just the importance of the digital tools that we use to, work efficiently yet remotely at the same time, and also that just enable us to keep safe, amidst COVID-19, um, pandemic.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Well, I'd like to know, so right now in this social isolation period, first of all, how do you find it? How do you find it? Any differences that are there, or how do you take it? Just the situation in general. What is your view on it?
Overall, I do feel very sympathetic and empathetic about just the impact that it has on people's businesses. People's livelihoods rely on physical interaction. They just rely on people being together and communicating and having that barrier of trust created by seeing and physically touching someone in just a physical exchange of goods. It is just really terrible what's happening right now. And I do also feel for those that are on the front lines of the whole situation, that are trying to contain it, the health workers, those that are looking for vaccines, and also just those that have to pivot their businesses. But then again, it is also an opportunity that, there are some opportunities during this whole thing that I'll just, address throughout the session. So it does have its downsides. It does have its downsides, especially when I feel like we're still in the early ages of just what this entails. But there is some silver lining that has the potential to be a long-term positive effect just on the on the systematic ways that we just run businesses. So yeah.
All right. I have been able to grasp a few words, though I think your mic ain't so audible enough, but yeah, I can grasp what you're saying. So, coming to the next question was on personally, do you get out during this period, and if you do, what are the precautions that you take, or are you basically just at home? Like,
Wow.
have you
In
heard?
terms of getting out, yeah, most definitely. Oh, hello. Sorry,
Okay,
I couldn't
so
hear
what?
you. I couldn't catch your last 10 seconds.
Okay, I said like, okay, you said that you do get out. So
Yeah,
what are the precautions that you take uh,
yeah.
on the situation that we have COVID-19? Um, Bob, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, hello, hello. Yeah, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Okay. So I do find it, um, well, the precautions that I take mostly is I wear my mask and I make sure that I have a sanitizer wherever I go.
Okay.
They do keep the water and soap in front of most stores, in front of almost anything. But when I'm in motion, when I'm walking, I make sure that I have my mask on. I make sure that I have some gloves on as well, just in case,
Okay.
especially if I have to touch an array of things. Um, but mostly, I find that what helps, and I find that what's safe is mostly just keeping distance. In terms of handshakes and exchange of money, that only happens when I have to. Um, and very rarely I do have to, because a lot of the shops these days, what they offer is mobile money payments, so you don't have to physically interact with someone. And also, mobile payments also just help me keep track of my personal finances as well because I have records. So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's true.
but I prefer carrying my own sanitizer, and I also advise people to do so as well because it is nice that these shops do have a tub of water and some soap, but I do advise someone to kind of just carry their own sanitary equipment. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. For extra precautions, no hands. So you mean that you don't give handshakes, or do you do the elbow touch thing?
I do the elbow shake, either the elbow shake or there's that weird thing that people do with their feet, like a feet handshake. So I try
Okay.
and do that as well.
Mhm. All right. Okay. Let's get to the other point. Like, basically, you deal with on your bio, you said mainly on technological stuff. So, in this, like, in the social isolation period, how has it impacted the technological world? One of the things I heard you mentioning is about the mobile money payments, and like it helps track your finances and stuff. So it's like sort of a positive impact to the technological part. Are there any other impacts that has come due to the social isolation? Can be positive or negative, either.
Yeah, so most definitely something positive. We've actually just realized just how efficient technology is.
Mm-hmm.
On the positive side, what COVID-19 has done is it has onboarded so many people onto just so many different tools that are out there that help us work remotely for quite some
Mm-hmm.
time. So, my work life is 99% virtual. So I run meetings on a platform like Zoom, such as this. We do our accounting via an accounting platform called Zoho as well, which is also just integrated onto an online workspace called Airtable that we have in Slack. So there's just so many advantages as well that we have seen due to people just social distancing, and also that have made us very cost effective. So, for example, to have meetings, we would have usually like logistical challenges physically. So, people would have to kind of organize a meeting place, pay for meeting places, pay for transport, pay for so many things to happen, and just kind of have all these unnecessary expenses. And
All right.
right now, just and on online work, all someone has to do is just buy some data and they're connected. So I feel that the positive side has been, saving money using more cost-effective methods. And also, these platforms do tend to keep data. For example, our Zoom session is being recorded right now, so you can backtrack very easily. Even for those that are unable to attend, you can access basically the same meeting or the same quality of content later. So the biggest thing that I have seen is cost effectiveness. The biggest thing that relates to the Tanzanian diaspora is cost effectiveness. Basically, we save money on logistics, we save money on venues, and also it just helps with keeping records. Now, that's mostly positive. So now the negative side is that, you know, I believe that the key to business is physical interaction. That's how you're able to properly network, because networking also, is trust. And trust is also just having that physical touch with someone, just having that physical interaction with someone. And we haven't been able to have that for quite some time. Uh, and so now there's somehow a barrier, especially when you're engaging someone new in business. Uh, so, for example, when I speak to a client, it's very hard. A Tanzanian client, it's very hard that I have to kind of let them know that, hey, can we have a call on WhatsApp? Can we have a call on Zoom? I have to teach them what Zoom is. I have to teach them the benefits of what Zoom is. I have to send them links to tutorials on how to use Zoom, because we cannot physically meet able to set this new platform, and just able to understand and interpret what you mean, especially in business and personally also. You can't feel that on a screen. There's still room for misinterpretation when you're speaking to someone over the phone or over a laptop screen. So yeah, those are the negatives. But I do feel like, of course, from a bias perspective, being in tech, the positives do outweigh the negatives. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And thank you on that. There's a lot to get or learn on the part of the technologies. Actually, I also think personally it's very helpful. I also get to learn like more of the digital part than before due to this time. Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
currently, where you work, do you work from home or do you go to the office?
Uh, so I switch. It depends. Sometimes I work from a coffee shop, like today, or I would work from home on days when I don't have personal errands to run. But I feel the best places to work would be from home or in an office. I do have a private office where I just kind of sit um, and kind of get some work done. Again, there are some elements to that as well in terms of why I choose the office as opposed to home, because also there's a lot of things to consider when you want to work remotely.
Okay. Yeah. I'd also prefer working from home. It's also more relaxing and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, working from home though does require a lot of discipline because we have
Yeah.
to remember that we are an arm's length away from distractions. You know, when you're at home, the TV is just there, the laptop is just there, the series that you didn't watch is just there. So it requires a higher level of discipline than working from the office. Because when you work from the office, you know, there is level of accountability from somewhere else. You have your supervisor there, you have people looking over you. But when you work from home, you're on your own,
Yeah.
and you know
You
you
have to
manage
be.
and you exactly, and
Yeah.
you manage your own time. So it does have a level of discipline. And it's more of a psychological challenge than anything. Because in terms of the technology, the technology has always been there. Uh, but you know, your brain has to know that even though I am home, it doesn't mean that I am relaxing. It means that I have to get some work done. I have that report to do. I have to communicate XYZ to my superiors. I have to set XYZ organizational goals. I have to give feedback. So there's so many elements that come to. I mean, there's so many things that you know you have to consider when working from home. Yeah, but mostly discipline. Yeah. One thing that I would tell, you know, that I would advise those that are tuning in and are working from home. If you're working from home, I find that making your bed helps. You know, even though you're not going anywhere, just make your bed because your brain assumes
Make your bed.
your brain kind of puts that as a no limit place. Your brain, you know, your brain says that this is not a place to sleep. I have made my bed. This is not a place to sleep. Even
Yeah.
though you're at home the whole day, I would up as if I am going out. You know, I'm at home the whole day, but I'll say, hey, let me put on some pants. Let me put on some shirt. You know, let me put on a shirt so that my brain just kind of knows that I am in work mode. I work at night due to the time zone differences of my workplace, but still, I still do make my bed. I still do dress up so that you know I am aware that I am in work mode and I am not, you know, in rest mode. And yeah, so I find that it helps. But there are some people that are more disciplined than me and can just get up from bed or work from bed, and you know, which is fine. That's which is really great.
Yeah. I get it. Just to keep you lively and tune your mode that I'm on work mode. Yeah. All
Exactly.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in the part of the on your office, are there any initiatives that they have taken so far on COVID-19? Are there any initiatives taken or any actions taken due to COVID-19? And what are they?
Uh, I feel that 80% of just how we have operated, you know, we have allowed pandemics like this to be addressed very early on because again, it is 80% a workforce. I mean, a remote workforce. We do have teams across the globe. 20% of us are based in the States. But yeah, so basically just that experience in working remote, I feel like we were pandemic ready in the first place. You know, we didn't predict it, but I feel like we didn't have to change much. The measures that we did have to change would be and meaning that their cash flow has also been affected by COVID because they don't have a lot of walk-in clients. In the marketing world as well, most of our clients have brick and mortar establishments. These are establishments where people have to walk in, purchase products, and then walk out. So they need, you know, a promotion, and people no longer need to kind of come in and all that. So mostly they have, you know, resorted to digital measures or e-commerce platforms in terms of accessing products and services. But the one measure that I would say that we have taken is, uh, you know, we have kind of allowed the refinancing of our clients because we do know that are kind of tied up in terms of cash flow right now. So, you know, we have somehow enabled a different type of credit line than we would usually allow.
Okay. Um, so if you could at least just to be clear, like yes, you've said them in a form of explanations, but I think on your I don't know if it's just me, but your voice somehow was cutting off somewhere. So I just want the points to be all clear up as we are recording this, so you can just like highlight them. Like there's this, and this. These are the actions taken. Like number one, it's this. Number two is this. Just to be clear in briefing that up.
Right, right, right. So most important takeaway is our businesses, one, well, businesses that we work with or our clients, we understand that their cash flow has been affected.
Yeah.
So as a business, what we have done is we have facilitated a new form of service delivery, which is by introducing, credit lines that were not there in the first place. These credit lines basically come in the form of payment plans because we understand that cash flow is a problem right now for these businesses.
Yeah.
So they would want to pay, yeah, so they would want to pay, say, maybe weekly or monthly, just to kind of help them out and not stretch them out too thin in terms of cash flow. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Mm, Jesus. All right. We have pointed out different situations, the current situation. Now, as youth, now let's come on the part of we youth. Are there any opportunities that we can grasp or grab during this period, despite it being so challenging? Everybody's saying that business is tough and things of the sort. Is there any takeaway that we can get or like opportunities that we can grab on during this time?
Yes, and this is actually a very it's a great question, and there's a lot of parts to it. So I'll try go. The first thing that we have to realize is that a lot of people are at home.
Yeah.
So being at home means you are in control of your own time. You go back to what we spoke about when it comes to discipline. Time means that you have time to these extracurriculars that can enhance your education or can improve a certain skill set that you need for a career. So there are so many free online courses that people can take to kind of improve their skills through platforms such as Coursera or edX. Uh, so it's very important for people to use their time at home wisely as well. That's number one. Number two, we have to understand that COVID-19 brings about one of the greatest economic recessions that we have ever had globally. And it is going to, or it has brought about, I guess, what we would label as the Great Depression of our era. Me and you are millennials, so we don't know the Great Depression of the 1920s, the 1980s, 2008. I don't think we were able
We
to
only
grasp
learn it in history.
exactly what was going on. And yeah, yes, absolutely. And but also we do have to understand that the greatest companies or the most profitable companies or the companies with the most valuable were all started during a recession. Microsoft was started during the recession of in the 70s, close to the 80s. Walt Disney or Disney as well was started in the 20s during the recession. Facebook as well was started more or less when the housing decline was going on in about 2004 when it blew up in 2008. So the opportunity is now. Basically, there are so many problems that we can solve that we just have to sit down, learn more about our community, and see where we can position ourselves to solve these problems. So how do we solve these problems? Again, we go back to the tools that allow us to work remotely. Right now, there are so many avenues and platforms that you can, just use to kind of bootstrap a business. Let me take, for example, Tanzania, where we are. a lot of the compliance boards, such as BRELA to start a business, TRA, the Municipal Council, TBS, all of them have online portals where you're able to register a business name from home. You're able to, file for a business license. You're able to gain tax clearance. You have all these tools, as you're just at home. You can start a business when you're at home. And even paying as well, just paying for these compliance avenues as well. You can do them at home. You can do most of these things at home. So, and also, if you want an online office as well, there's so many platforms like Slack, there's so many platforms like Notion, where you're able to create an online space as well and communicate with your team. So,
Yeah.
this is the opportune moment to look, what's my great idea? What does my community need right now? How am I able to solve this? Plan it out, and, you can also start virtually. Um, uh, a perfect example, there is a company called Basecamp. Basecamp is basically a virtual office or a virtual workspace where teams can meet, can sign in, they can talk just like how we're talking now, they can chat, they can share files.
Okay.
Basecamp is a unicorn company or a billion-dollar company, and they have no office. Basically, everyone is across the world. There are very few members. There are about 20 plus members, and they're all running this company remotely, and everyone just meets exactly once a year for like a week for a company week retreat, but otherwise they don't see each other. And they saw this as an opportunity during a recession that no one can afford an office space, so let's create this platform where we're able to take the office online. So right now, youth across Africa, what I'm seeing actually, even across Tanzania, all these delivery services are coming up. People know that no one is traveling outside, no one is going outside. So there's so many delivery service companies that are starting as well. That even after COVID, they will still have value because I don't have to leave anymore to go and get groceries. I can just contact a service and, they can just bring my groceries. They can bring my produce that I want straight home, and I can pay through mobile money. So there's so many avenues, so many opportunities there for the youth to stay.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Actually, what I've gotten from here is on generally the opportunities is on finding solutions to the problems that are there in the community. So that's the basic takeaway that I saw there. And the major points that you mentioned on is on like we have the control of our time, so we can enhance our education uh, by doing online courses, which are basically free, which is a great opportunity. And also, the best part is on the fact that most of the businesses that great businesses have grown during this time. As you see that the economy ain't going so well, like we're almost going to depression. So it's high time. If we got something, we can act on it right now. Okay. So basically that. I'd also like the rest of the participants, if there are any other opportunities that you guys see, then we can share it together. Like Elsie or Megan or Collins, any other opportunities that you see as that we youth can take or grab during this time. Okay, they seem mute. Well, I wanted to share some like, ooh, okay, where is it? Where is it? It was okay. Before getting to that, it's just like a quick game that I have, like sort of pictures that questions from the rest? Any other questions? Are there any questions? No? Okay.
I have
Yes,
a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Collins, I'm going to go first.
Yep.
Please do.
Thank you. Thank you, BobKevin, for your thoughts on all of this. It's been really interesting. One of my questions I have is, so of course, we're all using Zoom, we're all using these kind of new technologies, and they're making us more efficient, like you said. And you also mentioned that so many people have now been brought on to new technological solutions, right? We're like seeing a massive increase in the number of people who are using online solutions to get their work done, which is really cool. But my question for you is, do you think that this widens or potentially closes the digital divide or the gap between people who do and do not have access to technologies?
In my opinion, I think it widens. Well, I think the digital divide is becoming less and less because I do believe that it is strongly becoming the new norm in digital, because people have seen the positive side of just or the efficiency of remote working tools as well. People are more inclined to self-onboard others onto using tools such as Zoom, even with the, dare I say, older generation as well. They have just been, accustomed to the unconventional ways of hosting meetings and avoiding logistical costs as well, just through tools such as this. So I do believe it thins out in one way or another. Even those that don't have access to smart tools, they have gotten inquisitive as to, so how do most businesses interact, and they hear all these stories about all these platforms, and they're also interested and they want to be a part of it. So I do think onboarding has become a bit easier. Yeah.
Good points. Thank you.
Next
Yep.
question.
Thank you very much for sharing,
Thank you
BobKevin and Leah.
Thanks, Colin. Pleasure to have you.
My question would be around perhaps the social aspect and what you think this is applying as we live through this pandemic and beyond. You mentioned for work purposes, but I'm more interested to hear your opinion on what do you think that has had an impact on our social interactions and our relationships with people. Because I've heard different schools of thought. Some saying that now it's slowed things down, creating more space for people to connect. Whereas the other side of the scale, people are saying, no, we cannot connect the same way digitally as we can in person.
Sorry. Your network was a bit choppy there. Do you mind repeating the last 15 seconds?
No problem. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, absolutely.
No problem. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I can. Yep, I can hear you.
So my question is, to get your thoughts on what you think the pandemic is having on our relationships and more our social interactions. Whether you think it's more, it provides more opportunities for people to connect more online, or like slowing down in our normal lives to create more space for that, or the physical distance is also creating relationship distances.
That's a great question. And I think, well, it has both positive and negative impacts, because humans still need that, they still need that physical interaction also. Less barriers to communication when you see someone physically and you are able to read their body language. That's one. On the on the other hand as well, I believe that people will, by my experience, sometimes people also tend to be more open online, especially those with kind of like a passive engagement style as well, which is completely fine. They're more comfortable typing things out as opposed to, say, maybe facing a supervisor or facing, someone and kind of just communicating information. So depending on the setting, it does have its advantages and it does have its disadvantages. So disadvantages would be more room for misinterpretation, but advantages also, ironically, would be, more openness
Collins, are you satisfied
Perfect.
with
Thank
the
you.
answer? All right. Well, I'd like to share like it's sort of
in
like a
communication.
pop-up
Question.
something.
Okay.
Yeah. 6 minutes. Okay, so this is just like find the odd one out. So share it when you find it. So in this picture, you all guys can see it, right? Okay, like we have like 10 seconds. I just like want like
Yeah.
to just be up a little bit. So can you pick one? Which one is the odd one out? Which one is the odd one out? Any of you, can be
Okay.
Bob, can be Megan, whoever finds it first.
The middle, the one directly in the middle. That's the odd one out.
Yeah, you're correct. You got it.
Yep.
That was fast. All right. This
Oh,
one is the next one. Now,
also,
Bob, you got
I
the first
do
one right.
have. Oh no, yeah,
Uh-huh.
sure, okay.
So this is the last one, then Bob, you can say what you want. Okay. So between Megan Collins or Elsie, whoever who finds which one is the odd one out on this one.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Has anyone found it yet?
Yes. One, from the fifth row from the bottom, uh, column
Uh-huh.
number 1, 2, 3, 4. Column number 4 from the right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fantastic.
correct.
What do we win?
You're correct. What do you win? You win an applause.
Thank you.
Woo!
Sure.
All right. Let's get back to Bob. Okay, Bob, you wanted to say something?
Yes, in the chat there, I have shared just kind of a resource that I have compiled for just some of the tools that maybe someone might be looking for in terms of managing business level communications online. So some of the tools that I had mentioned during our talk as well, including a brief description on what they are and what they do. I have included them in this Google Documents. Yeah, so anyone can access it, can read it, and there are also links to download as well. Most of these
Okay.
tools are free. So, each people, they use these tools differently, and I've also explained how I use those tools personally. So maybe to whoever it is that's listening can also put their own little twist to how they use the tools. But this document will be available. Feel free to share the link with those that you know as well who have been unable to join us on the chat. And I will also send you the link as well so that we can share them to your respective mails.
Okay. Actually, when you open it, when you just press the link, it goes directly to it and you can download it.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Wow, this is nice. How to increase your productivity. So can you
Yeah,
just
exactly. Yep.
explain briefly, then we stop the meeting.
Oh,
Maybe you can share it on
oh,
or
oh, sorry. Can you repeat what you said? I had trouble hearing you there.
okay, if you can briefly, if you can just give a wrap up with that, then it was
Okay. So the document there, let me just see if I
mhm.
can share it very quickly. Mm, 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe the signal's not so good on my side. But
All right.
so basically, what you're looking at is a curated list of tools for different activities that you would want to do virtually.
Mhm.
So for an online workspace, I have put there Slack. Slack, basically, it explains what it does. Slack is an online workspace that promotes open communication for works for your Slack over WhatsApp, is usually the common question, but Zoom now. Zoom, of course, helps host meetings such as this. Yeah, and then there's some online database tools as well, like Airtable. These are all tools that I have experience with. I do have, yeah, I have explained their different use cases as well, just in my area of expertise and how I use it at work. So, it should be pretty straightforward. Um, all of them are free. You know, of course, the more you want it to do, then they do have very, small payment structures that people can have. But yeah, uh, this is mostly what you would need in order to work remotely and to keep in touch with friends and family, how to stay connected.
Well, thank you so much. I find this very useful. Actually, even new tools that I got to learn some more on. I practically mostly use Zoom or maybe Skype.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all that I can learn on. I
Yeah,
guess that
yeah. Thank you for the session.
thank you too. That marks our end of the session. So thank you, Megan. Thank you, Alice, and thank you, Collins, for having you all. I believe we've all learned something and it was very productive. So we call this a
Yeah,
wrap
it was
up.
a pleasure. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for hosting.
All right.
Okay. All right.